Good evening and welcome to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is your host, Raph, speaking, coming to you live, high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Neindorf, are you there? Seems we're having some technical difficulties. Neindorf, are you there?
Oh, sorry, your relay attempts have been exhausted.
Ah,
Oh,
I
just
see
kidding.
what you did
Yeah.
there.
How's it going, listeners?
Very clever and very timely. So, Neindorf, how have you been? We've been battling a little bit of sickness here at the Raff household.
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're trying to avoid the cold weather. I tell you what, this winter blast here in the Midwest is something not to be messed with.
No, it's certainly no fun. Well, let's go ahead and go to the question of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with the release of jewel mining here, I thought the best question I could come up with would be, have you hit the jewel jackpot at this time?
I hit one jewel jackpot, and that was last night with mining. And that felt pretty cool getting, I think it was just over 10 joule for one of my miners. So that was pretty fantastic.
Nice. That's a heck of a pull. When I first posed this question, I was phrasing it up here just a little bit ago, and I actually hadn't hit it, so I was kind of sad. And then turns out just an hour ago or so, I did. I got my own jewel jackpot, so I'm pretty stoked too. Yeah, it's about 11 jewel for two guys, so pretty good haul.
Excellent. Yeah, that's some the power of wishful thinking paying off for you there, I guess. So maybe
Make it so. That's right.
explain to our listeners what is the jewel jackpot, just in case they haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so in jewel mining, there is a probability where you hit the jackpot. And I think that we can get some more information on the details. I think Bolin released some pretty good info in Discord. You can check that out in the announcements section, I believe it was. But basically that's what it is. It's you have a probability of getting extra 10 jewel as sort of a quest reward in jewel mining.
That's awesome. So let's go to today is January 10th, and we're going to talk a little more about jewel mining later in the podcast. But let's jump into the AMA notes. Today was with the design and creative teams, and so we talked about lore, some quests, pets, and land. So all in all, it was a really excited AMA. I'm actually, beyond excited. Something that I put a question out there um, in the AMA asking about the tree having a face in the upper right hand corner and the hot air balloon. And I mentioned that, we were streaming live with our podcast from the hot air balloon and wondering if there was any lore associated with it. And it was pretty cool to hear Cinnabon respond and that there is no lore currently for the hot air balloon. And so this is I took that as the open invitation for you, Neindorf, myself, and all of our wonderful listeners that we have out there. Let's come up with some really awesome storylines for the hot air balloon. We were kicking things around earlier, and you said that might be our patch of land because we can't afford anything on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I love that concept. And why did they put it there? Like, obviously, they put it there with something in mind. And so, if it's kind of up to us as players of this game to help design the lore, I think, yeah, we need our listeners' help. Put some suggestions out to us in Discord. Let's hear what you guys think. Let's get some lore on this hot air
Yeah,
balloon.
it's pretty exciting, and maybe we can stay away from the 1.5 million bloater invasion that's happening right now.
Dude, that's pretty funny. That is so many bloaters. But you know what this reminds me of? I was thinking about this now, just live here. The hot air balloon. Do you ever play the game
Yeah,
Morrowind?
yes, I have.
So do you remember towards the very beginning of that game, if you happen to go, I believe it was like west out of the initial town, you're strolling along, and all of a sudden you hear this screaming, and this guy falls out of the sky and lands in front of you. I'm like, that's hot air balloon. He fell out of the hot air balloon. It's got to be.
That's great. That's great. And speaking of that, this game, it feels like it has so many ties to the Elder Scroll games. And going through the lore today, it honestly just got me really excited about it. And overall, not only bullish about the long-term financial outlooks of the game, but it seems to be tripping all of my nerd triggers as well. All right, so
Oh, no
something
doubt.
else that I noticed and was brought up and then foreshadowed by the team today, but the green tail that you see up here at the top left of the screen inside the keep. And so, for those of you who haven't noticed, in beta, you can actually click on the keep, go into it, and there's going to be some interactive elements that open up later. Well, there's a green tail and there's some red eyes that are showing up here, and this was definitely foreshadowed as a potential baddie. And so I think that we're gonna get some kind of main quest villain, and I would imagine that they kind of almost go through. And this is all speculation now here, but questing seasons, and I think that the first series of main quest lore are going to be around, maybe defeating this bad guy that you see up here. But it was confirmed that this green tail and these red eyes are nefarious in nature and will absolutely play a role in future quests and in the lore of the game.
Oh, that's amazing. So I've looked at the castle probably 7 or 8 times, and I never noticed that. I am apparently blind. Is that Jabba's tail?
Yeah,
Is there
if
Jabba
you
the
look
Hutt?
closely, you'll see Princess Leia there as well, and Boba Fett flying into the Sarlacc pit.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is this
and
is
then
perfect.
for those of you paying attention, in the top right of the screen is the tree with eyes that I asked about, and it doesn't sound like it has a ton of developed lore around that, but just some fun elements that with the map, eventually it's going to be a lot more interactive, and that was pretty exciting to learn about.
Man, that's the Deku tree. Come
Yeah, no
on,
kidding.
Ocarina of Time. This is
Speaking
awesome.
of Ocarina of Time and the Deku Tree, I think we were we were talking about. I believe Bolin mentioned that he was going to be kicking chickens, and the first thing that I thought of is when you're Link and you're in that village. Was it Kureko Village, and you sword those the chickens, and they come down at you in an angry swarm.
Oh, yes.
All right, well,
Love it.
let's go to my next big note in the AMA, and that's chain quests. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. And so, chain quests, what that means is that you're going to have quests, and the outcome, the actions that you make inside that quest, or success or failure of that quest, will end up impacting the next quest or the next series of quests. And so they're going to be linked like a chain, and there's going to be that interactive nature between the quests that you take. What do you think about that?
I mean that to me opens up a whole realm of possibilities that I'd never even considered for this game. I mean, it feeds perfectly into this, RNG nature like we're used to here with summoning. It's kind of like you got to pass the gauntlet, right? I mean, and hopefully your heroes can help you do that.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. Actually, I think this is the piece of the AMA that has me most excited. They also hinted towards profession specific quests, and so to me, there could be or class specific quests, and so I'm pretty excited about those as well. Um, as we think about the game coming forward, they mentioned that this underlying infrastructure of quests is what's going to allow them to achieve everything that they have planned for the future, leading up to combat even. And I think that I, for one, and this is speculation here, but I think that land is going to be released with some kind of chain quest.
See, that actually makes sense because that's a way where you could make it more difficult, right? It's not like you have a 1% chance. It might be you have a 5% chance to pass, chain one, a 5% percent chance to past the next round and so on and so forth. And you could make some of these that are very valuable pieces of land extraordinarily difficult. And I mean, it might be accessible to anybody. The guy that's got an entry level hero who just happens to get the right
Right.
rolls. That could be
Yeah, I
amazing.
think that'd be great for, community members to, have some of that random elements, and also makes you think about the lore elements. I think you might have to put your mind to work and figure out, should I send a ninja on this quest or maybe a dark knight on this quest? And I think you might have, a better
Yeah.
opportunity to be successful.
And I think we maybe should reiterate something that we've heard before from the devs that when land does come up, say like we'd mentioned, if it was a player that only has one hero, if they ended up running this gauntlet and passed all the chain quests and had land available but couldn't afford it, they have said that they'd contemplated them owning the right to buy the land and or sell the right to buy the land. So like this this feeds right into that information that they had dropped. I don't know if it was about a
Yeah.
month ago.
What a amazing windfall opportunity for someone out there. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
All
no
right, well,
doubt.
let's go to pets. So there was some discussion on eggs and ultimately the pets that they're going to transform into. It was clear that all the pets are going to have some level of value. And they really, emphasized that it sounded to me like they're going to always have value and be maybe I would say a little more balanced than heroes. It doesn't sound like there's going to be any kind of rarity, and so I think pets are going to be a little more even valued. And so just having one, its value isn't going to be that different from the next pet down the line. Something that they also referenced is the future of sponsorships. And I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing that there might be the Energizer Bun Bun out there in the future. I don't really understand how it had
Uh,
to deal with this element, but they mentioned that they are.
is that the
Yeah,
Gecko
yeah, there you go.
Geico? Geico
Um,
Gecko?
but yeah, eventually pets will likely play into quests and PvP. And so I think that's something that is going to be really cool. And of course, all of this they did preface was still in development and subject to change. And then, just to rehash for our listeners, each egg color represents a different set of pets. And that's something that we predicted a couple episodes ago, and it has been confirmed now. Now, where I think we're kind of going out on a limb is that color of pet. So, you get a blue egg if you go fishing, and fishing is based on luck and agility stat points. And so I'm anticipating that the fishing, the blue egg, will create creatures that will give you boosts types to those stat points. But they did say that it's going to be fairly balanced, and so I'm guessing only one hero can only have one pet attached to it at a given time.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense. It seems like they want the all the stock to be in heroes as far as, rarity and how important that role is. It kind of does make sense that you wouldn't want to try to replicate that with pets when you've already kind of got that in heroes. Uh, Speaking of pets, I might have to add, I somehow managed to pull the RNG magic the other day and randomly got two pet eggs, which was absolutely amazing.
Well done, well done. You, that's pretty fantastic. I think that I'm not planning on selling my eggs, and are you planning on selling? Because you have two of the same color now. Is that right?
Yeah, so I have two grays and a blue, and I'd heard one of the devs talk about, collecting the whole set, so to speak, getting one of every color, and I was like, ooh, I was like, that might be. So I think I might try for that just because. So I'm about halfway to having enough gold to buy a golden egg, and so then if I can randomly roll one of the other ones in the next, month or so, then I'll know where my gap is, and maybe I'll sell one of my two gray eggs and swap it for a whatever I'm missing at that point. I'm definitely trying to go for the clean the flush.
There you go. There you go. All right. So the last element of lore that I really wanted to talk about, and I'm going to jump over here to Instagram, where they've uploaded some pictures, and you can go check this out. Um, is that they mentioned that they are tying some fantasy elements to the expanding landscape that they're going to as they start to pull back some of that fog of war. And so I see some really interesting pictures here that are going to have. Oh, here's a picture of some penguins. I don't know what this creature is. I would like that pet hatching out of my blue egg, that's for sure. Not the penguins, but this dragon turtle thing. Um, and so they mentioned that the land is going to have fantasy elements to it, and that this is actually the land that you see on the map is the land that people are going to end up earning and owning. And so I thought that was just fantastic, and a really neat way for you to interface actually with your NFTs and see your NFTs on the map.
Yeah, honestly, that's awesome because it's like, we've talked a lot about some of these other RPG games from our past, and maybe some of them were even able to build a stronghold or something, and that's really cool. But it's cool to an extent, right? That you can show maybe a friend who's watching you play. This is on blockchain. This is permanent. This is for the world to see. Anybody playing this game is going to see what you're doing with your land. Like that's kind of next level stuff
Yeah,
here.
and this next part is speculation, but I'm really hoping. Well, they have indicated that different plots of land will have different future value, and I'm really hoping that the lore elements actually tie to that future value. I think that would be pretty cool. You have a broken down pirate ship here. Maybe you have the higher likelihood of getting silverfin here because they nest in the broken pirate ship. I think it'd be really neat to be able to tie the elements of fantasy, and actually you would maybe navigate or build your hero party around the special value that that land brings.
Yeah, yeah, or if in that plot right there, a pirate is actually like the best fisher. Like he actually fishes better there than all of the other
Right,
classes,
right.
just because that's a pirate ship. Come on.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So that was the notes that I have from the creative AMA that was today. Again, today is January 10th, 2022. All right, so let's go to the alert section next. Tell us about your new features inside the alert app.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we've kind of gone and we've learned more about this game, I try to keep adding some new features, different things that you can filter upon. And so I kind of found a way with some other people's help on the dev Discord chat. So now I've got the ability to filter based on the main class, the subclass, and the profession, where the recessive number one gene matches the dominant. We talked about that with Sandwich Punch a few episodes ago, and we kind of, he's built a whole strategy. It seems like around that. So I thought that that was a useful feature for filtering. Um, Especially when you're going to potentially try to go summon those advanced classes or above. So that's out there now. We can use that. It's functional. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that too. What else do you have in the works on the alert system?
Yeah. So in the future, I'm open to suggestions, of course, from our listeners. Feel free to drop us a note if there's anything you want to filter on. I haven't added the ability to filter on stats yet, or like minimum stats. That's probably the thing I'll look to adding here in the near future. Um, but one thing that if you've been listening regularly here, you'll know that I'm very keyed in on one aspect of that API where it's talking about the advanced elite and transcendent skills that are only available in the API. They're not really in game at all yet. And I did a little analysis on that. Would you be interested in knowing what I
Yeah,
found
yeah,
out?
for sure. Give us that breakdown.
So interestingly enough, I filtered all of the heroes currently available, and I think this was probably last night when there was roughly 90,000 heroes. And I noticed that after I filtered out, there were only about 60 heroes with an elite skill, either active or passive, and there were only 30 in the game with
Wow,
transcendent skills. That is
that's a low number.
insanely small. You add those together, that's 0.1% of all heroes have an elite or transcendent skill. Buy them, listeners. Buy those heroes.
Yeah, so let's talk about how do people gain access to the app. So this is something that we've been thinking about, and we have our milestone for the podcast and our listeners out there that we're looking to gain 100 subscribers across all platforms. And with that, we are going to open up a random drawing of 10 of those 100 subscribers or more to gain access to the alert system. And we're hoping to actually do a stream of that live on YouTube if we have that set up in time. And that can be any subscription. And so we're looking to total up subscriptions across all of our platforms. That's Spotify, that's YouTube, that's Google Podcasts, even Anchor. And so many of those are what we'll call quote unquote our free subscription base. And then on Anchor, if you're really looking towards helping us take this to the next level, there are paid subscriptions. If you're interested in that, this is by no means an obligation. um, but for those of you out there who are willing to do that, we will also give you access to the alert system. And so if you sign up on Anchor for the $5 a month subscription, we will allow you to have access to at least one alert. We haven't limited it yet. And so that's something that we really want to open up as an opportunity for all of our listeners out there. So if you want to get in on these transcendent skills, go ahead and subscribe on Anchor. Shoot us a note in Discord. Maybe send us an image of the receipt that for your monthly subscription, and we'll get you hooked up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an awesome opportunity for our listener here. I as I dove into the data, I also took an opportunity to, just peek at some of the wallets that are owning some of these elite and transcendent heroes. Um, and interestingly enough, some really big names came out of that. I was seeing a couple repeats for names like Xeno and Raspberry Swirl. If you're familiar with that's part of the dev team and part of the high level, the game insiders, I'll say. So, keep that in mind. We've also recently upgraded the server, so we've got some space. So yeah, like I said, we're looking to get more people out there sign up for alerts. So absolutely.
All right. Awesome. And a big thanks for everyone who can't go into YouTube and click the subscribe button. That, really means a lot for us. All right. So you brought us there in the question of the day. Let's go back to jewel mining. Again, today is January 10th. Jewel mining has been out since last Wednesday. Um, you had a strategy a couple podcasts ago about mining gold. Tell me, are you sticking to that strategy, or have you come over to the dark side?
I tell you what, this might have to be a bit of a retraction here. Without knowing what the rewards for jewel mining would be, it seemed like a strategy that would possibly be beneficial. Um, but now, as we talked in the question today about hitting the jewel jackpot and some of the rewards that we've also been earning, be it one or two, maybe even 10 jewel a day, doing jewel mining, is the kind of the numbers will tell you at this point that as long as you don't have very little locked jewel, the money tells you that you should be mining jewel right now, not gold. So it was a strategy. It made sense at the time, but as more data comes out, we're going to keep learning. We'll keep telling you guys,
Right.
our listeners.
And with gardening, I'm actually generating more locked jewel than I'm unlocking every day too, which is a
Oh
great
yeah.
problem to have. And I'm sure will change. That calculus will change a little bit as the lock to unlock ratio changes as we get closer to the July 15th date. But I agree with you. It's too good to pass up. Those the jewels are just worth so much right now, and even with the price at 16.30, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, it's such a life changing opportunity to really to take that and to reinvest that into the gardens. Right now, I'm trying to reinvest in miners. So I'm playing a little bit of a two strategy domino game where first I'm trying to take my earnings and get more miners so I can get more earnings. And I'll tell
Yeah,
you what, I'm
absolutely.
going through a string of bad luck summoning, but I'm just sticking with it at the moment.
See, you're getting those entries into the shiny Gen Zero Crystal Veil raffle. That's what you're trying to do. I see.
Yeah, it certainly has me feeling like that is, kind of the side benefit. And, when I was summoning for, $20 a jewel earlier this last weekend, that certainly made me sleep a little better at night knowing that, I was getting an extra entry into that raffle for sure.
Absolutely.
How about you? How many jewel miners do you have running right now?
So honestly, given our Gen Zeros that we have, we've got the pirate and the monk. I am way more focused in my hero crew on fishing, unfortunately. So I was lucky enough to summon that uh, pirate miner, way back when, probably 2.5 months ago or so. So he's running a crew, but the crew he's got is pretty shaky. It's a ninja and a summoner, two of the worst secondary
There's a
miners that you could possibly
sounds like
have.
there's a
So
Steve in
I'm
there.
hurting. There is. I'm hurting for miners, but man, the prices are so high for miners right now that I think I'm just gonna let it ride. I'm bullish. Maybe I'll just let the jewel unlock naturally over time, come next year too. I mean, that's another thing that kind of came about when I was talking about that gold mining strategy. The jewel will unlock on its own, so I'm not in a rush to go spend big jewel on miners, but I definitely hear your strategy though. It's very profitable right now.
Yeah. And, it's listening to another podcast and a good reminder that the game is, not even 25% developed yet. We aren't even to our first expansion. And so I think that, this is just a fantastic opportunity to be getting into the game and looking out to the future. You know, as you and I have been talking about this, we're really trying to position ourselves to potentially have an opportunity to buy or earn the right to buy or even sell land out there in the future. I'd love to eventually create a guild someday. This game has been a lot more than I ever imagined it could be.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, you kind of have a goal for the game, like where do you want gameplay to go? And I think it's important to remember too that when they first made that AVAX announcement, look at how much Jewel pumped as people were starting to put money in. You know, there's no reason I could say that the same thing won't happen when they announce the next expansion in the future months, or maybe it's quarter two, three, or four of this year. I suspect it'll be something like Phantom or Polygon or something like that. The next time they announce another one, you'll see another pump. So keep your jewel ready, everyone.
For sure. All right. Well, from the hot air balloon, this is Raph and Nindorf. Thank you very much for listening and have a good night.